Yay, nay? This is such a fun game.
Is it though?
No.
It's so
I was
annoying.
shaking my head no.
It says live.
Such a fun
Oh,
game.
there we go. See?
Is it though? No.
It's so annoying. It's so funny.
It says live. And now we're live. So, it's just dumb. That's what it is. Just dumb.
The pattern seems to be we're going to put you live before you're live on this platform, and then it's going to be blue screen. So we shut it down, start again, and then we start yabbering on for like what seems like forever.
It does feel like forever. Sorry to you. I mean, sorry, not sorry if it feels like forever to you. And for those of you who are running this platform, could we maybe fix this issue, please? Pay you a lot of money. Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, May 29th, 2024. I've been wondering that earlier in the week. I was like, oh my heck, it's almost June. It's almost the middle of the year of 2024. So right. Crazy. But you're welcome to another live edition of Live and Unscripted with your host, Jennifer, spelled JJ, and
Ligia, spelled Ligia.
I really like that Corey helped figure out a way to like make me cool like you.
It's just the way it is.
I love it. Now, why do you do it that way?
So my name is spelled Ligia, Ligia. I grew up understanding it was a Spanish name. My mom did a project in college and realized it was actually a Greek name.
Oh.
But my name, I grew up being Ligia Elena.
What's your mom's name?
Ligia del Carmen.
Oh, okay.
So that's how that came about. But I came to Canada when I was like 2. I went to Canada when I was 2. I forget I'm in the States. Anyways, and my parents just told me when I went to school, just call yourself Leah. So that's what I've done my whole life. They never changed the spelling of my name. They said, just go by Leah. So I'm Leah, spelled Ligia. So then people aren't so confused when they approach me or say my name.
Mine just said to go by Jennifer. I always wanted to go by Jay. And I never got that chance. But lots of people call me Jay or JJ. And I loved that. So, oh my gosh. Breathing. We always start with breathing just as a way to like slow the thoughts down, slow the mind down, be present to like let go of anything that's already happened in the day, to let go of anything we think is going to happen in the day, and just be right here, right now. Allowing our hearts and our minds and our guts to come into coherence with each other. And then just to kind of find a nice coherence. Are you looking for chapstick? That's funny. So we'll just start with breathing. I would like some of that. And today we're just going to do let's do a simple box breathing. There are entire programs of breathing out there because breathing is such an important thing. Way more than just beyond living and keeping your body oxygenated, but it also has a lot of health purposes and a lot of emotional releasing and mental strength, emotional strength. And you're more than welcome to look into those. First one that comes to my mind is like Sonoma breathing.
Sonoma breathing?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
Or somatic breathing.
I've heard of somatic. What's Sonoma breathing?
I don't remember, and that's for maybe a topic for another day.
Okay.
When I can give more details to it. I just know it's out there.
Okay.
I also could have just made that up. I could have totally just made that word up.
Oh. Okay.
But I don't think so. There actually is, I believe, a method called Sonoma. And I can, if you're interested, I can actually hook you up with somebody who I know personally who teaches that method. She lives about an hour and a half from here and really cool person. Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn. So today we're going to do simple box breathing. My intention is to just give you a quick, simple tool that you can use many times in your day, when you're just feeling frustrated, or you're feeling like crunching in your mind or crunching in your heart, or you just need to make a decision and you don't feel like you're in the space to make good decisions because your mind is everywhere else, your heart is everywhere else. And so this is really just an opportunity for you to just go and actually pause for a moment and see where you're at. So today, let's do box breathing, which is you're going to breathe in through your nose for, I always say, a 4 or 5 count. Do what count works best for you. That's going to elongate the breath. That's going to fill up your chest cavity. It's going to fill up your belly all the way down into your pelvis and your sit bones. Then you're going to hold that breath for the same count. Then you're going to breathe that breath out for the same count. And you're going to hold the exhale, so the empty lungs, or as empty as you can get them, for the same count. As you're doing this today, feel free to breathe in any of the yummy energy or experiences you're wanting to create. Breathe in gratitudes, anything that just feels really good to you and is going to lighten your soul. And as you're breathing out, just let go of shiz. Like, find it wherever it's holding in your body and grab a hold of it with your breath and release it. Let it go. And I'm actually going to say let it go peacefully and watch it transform into something. Let it transform into something that may even be happier for it. I'm saying let it go, I'm seeing like lovely, cute, daisy-like looking flowers that are colored, creating out of the shiz that comes out. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I think it's cool. Anyway, so let's take 30 to 60 seconds and just do simple box breathing. We're going to invite you to do it with closed eyes or a downward gaze, whichever works best for you. And also, Leah just gave the signal for hands on heart. If that's something, learning to put your hand on your heart is so calming and empowering at the same time. It's like giving yourself CPR.
Well, it's like, for me, it's a good setup. Like, it's a trigger thing for me. Like, okay,
it's
pay attention. Yeah.
So feel free to do that as well. So we're going to do closed eyes and just start on your own, and then we'll invite you back into space here in 30 to 60 seconds. So take that long count, hold that inhale, thinking of all the yummy things, breathing out any crap or shoes you got hanging on, hold that exhale, watch that stuff transform, and repeat. Finish up whatever phase that you're in, and just notice how you feel, how you felt when you started versus how you started feeling when you got a cycle or two into it, and how you feel now. I always love this process because I feel myself calm. I feel my mind start to slow down. I can feel like how I'm sitting in a chair or leaning in a chair. I can feel my feet on the floor. I always have a tendency to curl my toes, so I can feel the curling on the metal bar that I'm of this chair. So it's really fun to just kind of notice like what starts taking place. Can you find a slower breathing pattern when you're done? Do you recognize more peace and calm? Do you recognize a centeredness, even if it's just for a moment? I would love to hear about it in the comments. Like, how does this simple breathing exercise work for you? And is it something that you practice or would be willing to practice several times throughout a day? Thoughts on that? What do you feel? What do you experience?
Well, I love this phone case. I fell in love with this phone case, and I've looked at it like hundreds of times. And today, during the breathing, I I think I connected to why I love, or a reason I love this phone case is it's this astronaut and he's out in space and he's still reaching for the stars. Like that thought just kind of like, so for me, I think it slows me down. I'm more aware of my body, but it also, I feel like it opens up my mind to other possibilities and playful connections that I might not normally make if I'm in a busy state. And it makes me think of creativity and play in general is, you know, when we're so busy and go all the time, we don't have space to create from. You know, those ideas and that playfulness comes from a place of relaxation, and we make those connections that we just wouldn't, because everything's already connected for us. That just makes me want to go down a whole other rabbit hole.
That sounds like, could that be our topic for today? Anyway, we just want to give a huge shout out to, and thank you for practicing a quick breathing exercise with us. But quick shout outs to our Facebook friends and family, whether you're coming to us from the Righteous Rebels Facebook group or my personal page, or if you're on our LinkedIn, coming and watching us on LinkedIn, or even our YouTube channel. We just want to say welcome. Thanks for being here. Oh my gosh, honestly, today, it's not that I struggled to want to be here. Like I enjoy being here with you. And we haven't put it really any work in lately to finding cool guests. And I think part of that is just shifting of seasons. Part of that is just shifting inside of myself personally, and really evaluating the things that I want to talk about. Although this is a show of inspiration, where we let inspiration be the guide. There's one question that we ask in the beginning, and then we just allow conversation to naturally take place. And a lot of times we're doing it with people who I've met maybe for 10 or 15 minutes, or maybe not even that long, and then just extended an invite to come and be on the program. So that's a long way to say I haven't put any effort in lately to find some new guests, but it's coming. It's coming. It's been an interesting journey to, as I'm talking about not putting time into guests, of building some of the things that I've wanted to build, that I've started building, that I've dreamt about for a long time, that I have felt for a long time. And noticing, like, it's almost like heated and excited, and it goes through these phases of like total creation and throwing a ton of spaghetti on the wall and making a mess and not caring. And then it's just like, put the brakes on, and what the heck's going on? And I don't even know why I'm telling you this, other than it's on my mind of like, sometimes this is how the process goes, is that I have been taught how building a business looks, the steps you should take, and the things that you should be doing in order to be successful. And in this phase of my lived experience, I don't want to conform. I don't think I've ever really wanted to conform, although I was really, really good at it. And in this space, just allowing myself the time, even as I'm going to say this, like, to let these words come out of my mouth, I feel my mind and some old patterning want to battle with me. Allowing myself the space to notice what I haven't taught. Some things I haven't even noticed. Like, I don't think I've even recognized, because it's just been such a part of existence. But one, just taking the time to see what they are and why they don't feel good. What doesn't feel good about them? And then, like, going through a deconstructing process of all of that thinking. And then it's like, then what? Now what? Like, how do I move forward? How do I move forward? Like, and I'm super good at asking the question, how. I know different, but it's such a pattern, it's such a habit.
Well, and it gives a solution of safety. And it's so funny that you're bringing that up. Can I share this?
Yeah, what is that?
So I came across this quote, and I didn't even read. I just kind of scanned it. I'm like, oh, that's beautiful, but I wanted to share it. So it's by Topher Kirby.
Oh, he's got great stuff.
Oh, I really
Great
enjoy his
stuff.
stuff.
And I like his stuff, and I really like, is it Yuli?
Yeah, Yuli, something.
Anyway,
yeah. So he writes, we gather our pieces and put them back together in an attempt to be what we once were. But life doesn't work like that. We change through both joy and grief, pain and love, shape us into someone that we need time to understand. Those pieces, they still belong, but they may need to go back together in a new way. So as I hear you talking about that, I'm like, it's so funny how fitting. And it just kind of came into presence. Like, I need to share that today. And I think that's beautiful that, you know, we can have all these plans of how we think life should be or how business should
so
be.
Good at that.
Right? You know, we're checking boxes and following, you know, what we're told is the right thing, and really denying our own truth and what we're really here to do. You know, I've recently read The Shack, and
such a great book. If you haven't read it, highly recommend it.
What really sticks out to me is like how much we're not, I think it's more in the interview with the author, how he describes his parents' unawareness of carrying their pain and carrying their lessons and the best that they knew how, and passing it on to him, and him getting to process that. And, you know, we're just in such a beautiful time where being aware is more accepted. It's more valued as a way to just think differently and have more awareness and do things differently. And I love that you shared that process and what that's been for you, and just learning to recognize there's grief though that comes with that.
Yeah, I think that's the piece of it that I haven't been super good at allowing myself to feel, is, and allowing myself to, like, you know, you're different, you feel different, and you can't really create the new thing from the old you, and the reevaluation of that, and the doing it together. Like, what does it look like now? Very, very similar, very similar. It's just now letting those other pieces filter in and being open to what they are. I know I was telling Leah earlier that there have been many times in my existence where I'm building something, or someone wants me to come speak, and they want me to do it on the thing that's the most seen or known in my world, and that's that of being a personal trainer. And that's the thing I probably love the least. I love the aspect of my philosophy is I really don't love personal training. I love what it can do to somebody's body, but training body parts for me is boring. I much prefer to train people, and to train the heart, and to train the mind, because then all the other stuff on the outside, there's a better chance of it sticking. Like I would much prefer to teach self-discovery, and I don't necessarily know that I love it termed as personal development. I think there's a lot of things in that space that, I don't know. I love teaching spirituality, and is in regards to a person and to a self. I don't not a system or a.
What comes to mind when you talk about things that you teach is awareness.
Yeah.
You know, and about emotions and feelings and learning.
I don't know why I couldn't get that to come out of my mouth.
No, because you're talking about yourself, right? And I think that's one of the hardest things. But one of the things that I know in my experience with you is, you know, you talk a lot about trust and about, you know, noticing things tricky. And not judging them, and, you know, that our emotions and our feelings are just a part of us that wants to be seen. Yeah. You know, and that can be incredibly healing.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
As I've been thinking about this, I'm like, where does activity and play and all that stuff still fit in? And it totally fits in. It's just now, how do we create this in this way that feels actually authentic and it's not tied or connected to old systems and old thinking? And so that's just been kind of my presence of mind and thinking. I really don't know why I said that or why that came up, other than it segued beautifully into this
I know,
into
it's
this
so
thought of
wild.
yours. And I think as we move forward, just as individuals and lived experience, I've also been working a little bit on the book. And
Yeah. Are you talking about your book?
yeah. Wow, I didn't think that would hit me like that. I was re-looking at a question yesterday about how I found connection and belonging. How I found connection and belonging after connection and belonging shifted from a lot of those connections from birth. And I was thinking about that question and how to answer that. And one of my favorite quotes about belonging is from Brene Brown. I used it in my TED Talk, in fact, and where she says it's about belonging everywhere and nowhere, but most importantly to yourself. And sometimes it means standing alone. And as I was thinking about that question, I'm like, I don't know that I have effectively created belonging, because I want to know how to belong to myself. I want to know how to stand inside my own skin and hear my own heart and to speak my own voice, and to be able to, because I know how to do that, then to be able to go out and more genuinely interact with the people around me, but not have to be a part of what they're doing. Like I'm okay whether or not I'm a part of their intrinsic or their little groups of people, their gatherings. I can go be a part of without having to be sewn into it. I can step back out of it and do my thing and be okay.
It's so funny that you use sewn into it. Like that, just the implications of that. But that you have your own freedom to move and weave in and out.
Yeah, I've always been one who can appreciate and love people of all different walks of life. I'm human. I have judgment. I have my own concerns, my own fears. Some of it is my own, and some of it is stuff that was instilled in me about different groups of people and such. And that's stuff that I still get to move through and heal or deconstruct. But now I get to do it from my own heart and my own voice, and in the ways that feel good for me. But I love interacting with all different kinds of people and not just always the same people. That love came actually through traveling and just seeing how different and how big and vast this world is, and how big and vast life is, and how differently things are done, and yet a lot to the same end, connection and happiness and togetherness and belonging.
It makes me think of like when I was writing the Remember When book, of like what are the common things that we all go through, and our first smiles or our first steps, or when we first get married, or when a parent dies, or like what are those universal things that we all experience, and try and capture that so it was something that could go across not just generations but across cultures.
Mike, do we have a copy of that book right here? I think we moved it. So. Anyway, great book. We'll put it in the link on how you can get a hold of that. Actually, if you would like to workshop that book, we have a workshop for that book. We can happily come and teach that workshop in person, or we can workshop it via video as well. It's a great book for families. It's a great book for organizations. youth groups and such. So there's the shameless plug for what book?
Remember when?
Remember When.
Yeah.
Do you guys know that she wrote that like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before you went to India?
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks, like, so that she could take
Seriously.
it. Like, the story behind that is incredible.
Yeah. That was like a serious, like, God download, like out of nowhere. Serious, the flow. And then I had one of the ladies I was in the publishing company with. She's like, I have some free time. I was a teacher for so many years. I'll help you edit it. And it was a beautiful process.
And I love that. So I'm loving this process because really I was tired today. My eyes are tired. I actually laid down and took a 30-minute nap before I got on here. And I was like, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. And just that you just brought in that process. And again, the downloads that when we are in our own space. I was watching you paint a little. There's an extension to this desk, and Leah's been working at it. She's ghostwritten. You didn't ghostwrite them. Yeah, ghostwritten 3 children's books and is now illustrating them. And so it's fun to sit here and watch her. And I watched her with a paintbrush in one hand, like she's working a paintbrush in one hand and she's working a cheese stick in the other. Kind of unknowing to both things.
Sure.
Just in flow. Just they're both there. They're both working and doing the thing, and yet it wasn't she wasn't in her conscious. I don't think she even really knew what was going on. It was super interesting to observe, and that's the business we're creating, is that place where it comes from flow. It comes from our actual hearts. It comes from who we are now, today, and not who we were 5 years ago or what we wanted 5 years ago. Some of those pieces still are the same and refit. Oh my gosh. It also reminds me of we're working on some music too.
Yeah.
And there Lee had written some words, and we were trying to get the meters right, and the measures and the timing and the syllables and all the things. And it was incredible. We're like, we're not sure how to make this work. And to be able to work together as a team and to take what was written and like the puzzle pieces and just move it to different places in the song. The phrases and the words are still there. Oh no, my ears are itching. And yet it doesn't change the meaning. In some places it did, but it actually enhanced the meaning to put it in a different place. And so this is what we're creating, is the space for ourselves, but also for you to just let go of who you used to be so that you can be who you actually are today, but also give yourself space to learn and to grow into who you're going to continue to be. And to recognize that in putting things down doesn't mean they're down forever, although it might be, but that you're just rearranging. I really love how all of this is falling together today. I'm so excited. Like, my ears are itching. My nose is itching.
Well, it just makes me think of, the conversation we had earlier about like being pigeonholed. I'm painting.
I don't think I finished that thought. So thank you.
Yeah. I'm painting, and I'm thinking, having memory. I used to run a daycare for 10 years, and people would always tell me, you should write books and, children's books. And I could so see you doing that. And, I really resisted that for a long time. And I just, because I was so associated with being, a caregiver and running programs and all this stuff like that, that was all I was into their eyes. So to your point of that's all people see.
So much more.
I really resisted that because I didn't want to just be the lady who's a big kid that is really good with kids, right. But they could see that in me, and they could see an artistic side, which I hadn't even expressed at that point, but it came out in different ways, whether it was kids' crafts or, activities that I put on or whatever. But I fought that. But then I had the realization today, oh my gosh, I'm doing the things that I've been dreaming of is one, writing and, using my words, and 2, my art. And that just really, it just struck me today. How sometimes people can see you in those ways, but you resist it.
And how,
don't tell me.
right?
Don't tell me what glasses fit me.
Right. And how easily though it is to meet somebody or to know somebody and to only let them be that thing versus having an open heart and mind to see them in their fullness of who they are. But then also if life changes, to be able to allow them to change and to let go of how you think you knew them, or how you what your experience was with them in the past. And I don't know, I think about that with a few people in my world, and a lot just with myself recently, um, talking about like the rearranging of pieces and letting some things go, and figuring out where I'm at in my own world. One of the things that I love to do is trail run, and I've done really long distances, and but the last couple of years I haven't done much. I kind of got burned out. Life took some interesting turns. We've talked about this a little bit. My brother passed away um, at the beginning of March, and the middle of July. I thought I was going to die on a mountaintop in a race. Um, I opted to say yes to an opportunity to go to India, and life just became this crazy, amazing whirlwind of learning how to surrender. And so, as part of that surrender, people fell out of my world. People who I thought were my friends, and who I'd associated a lot with, and some of the activities fell away. And one of those was trail running. Um, and so it's one of those pieces that I'm like, where does this fit in my current lived experience, knowing that it's probably not going to be like what it was, and to let go of that while I'm out doing it, so I'm not beating myself up as I'm doing it. Which we all do. We're like, oh yeah, but I used to be able to. Yeah, but that was used to. This is today, and this is now, and this is you don't probably think the same. You don't see the world the same. You've had enough experiences that it's going to be different, but you've got to allow it to be different. And so I've been thinking about this.
Priorities are different.
Priorities are different, absolutely. As the last couple of days, I've had some tender muscles, not like really sore, but definitely some tender muscles because of the things that we did.
So,
like up, down, up,
legit,
down,
straight up mountains,
down,
up, down the mountain. Oh my gosh.
And just it's the getting started. It's like, it's going to hurt. And the reality is it's probably going to hurt, but that hurt doesn't last forever. It's the reminding yourself that it's the re-strengthening and strengthening of the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, the joints, all of the things, and that your body and your soul absolutely loves and craves for you to do those things. So whether it's in physical activity, like up, down, up, down, up, down, or it's in creating a business, or it's in just learning how to pause and breathe and hear yourself and to know yourself. It's been really fascinating as I've been pondering these things for myself and looking at the information that I've come across and have discovered, and looking at things that you go, oh, now that I've seen that, like I cannot see the things the same way anymore. I can't unsee what I've learned. I can't I can't squash down the intense feelings of like, oh my heck, this is truth for my soul. And how many times in the last week, the phrase, and I've heard this phrase my whole life, the truth shall set you free. The truth will set you free. And how differently that phrase rings for me now, based off of unhooking from systems and unhooking from, I'm going to say people, relationships, friendships, whatever it may be, even though that's painful in some situations. There is a freedom to it, to recognize like, what is it that is actually mine in that? And just that, the recognition of like, oh my heck, this phrase has been in my world my whole life, and how it has such a different truth to it now. as we start to do the activities, as we start to go through the growing pains of doing things differently, of experiencing life differently, of actually experiencing ourselves. Thoughts on that for you?
There's a lot there.
I know.
When
I think I need a breathing break. I'll hear you.
Yeah, for sure. I think what came up for me when you're talking about the up, down, and just our mindset going through, I'm thinking like, that's hard. Like it's painful. I know I get a lot of knee pain in the descent or in my ankles. I rolled it in early 2023 and it set stiff. And so I get a lot of pain in my heel from doing those activities. But there was one.
Biffed it. Like I still feel pain from biffing it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So we're part of the Lost Souls, the Empire of the Lost Souls. So that's
thanks, Dan Beck.
Yeah. In the next 100 days, there's the challenge is to do 50 trails and
50 routes that are pre-designated.
Yeah, and they're not easy trails. We did Dan's Kool-Aid, and there's a part it's constantly incline, and we had already done a 4-hour hike that was like this, right? So and then we wanted to get another one, and it was, I didn't want to go back down the long, what felt like it would be a longer descent for me, especially knowing that my knee would be painful. And so we went down a really steep decline to make a loop instead of retracing our steps the whole way. And, at that point, I'm tired and my knee is complaining. But what was fun about that is like, I had to get down the hill. There was no other way. Like
right.
This was a burn the boats moment. Like I had already gone up here. I can't.
I definitely think it was the harder way than.
Oh my gosh. It was so inclined, but I just kept thinking to myself, this is really good for my ankles to stretch out my, my ligaments. This is really, and I tried to just look for the benefits of going through the pain, and just learn different ways to move my body so I could go farther. Because in other hikes, I've also gotten stronger from those other hikes, but near the end, I'm hobbling and I can't put weight on my knee and all this stuff. But just finding different ways to prolong that to get to the truck. So I think of that when you're talking about just being kind to yourself when you're fitting the pieces of you that used to be so present, and reconfiguring how they fit into your today life, and the judgments that can come from that.
Absolutely. And also, as you're saying that very last piece of, in knowing that, giving more grace to other people, like being gracious with yourself as you go through those changes, but allowing that same grace for everyone else on this planet who is going through hard things and their own expansion and their own growth. And
well, you say that, and I think of people in our worlds that sometimes it's challenging for them to get a new message or to have a new belief, and how many times we have to reiterate the same message and be consistent and coming from a loving place, or just how can I say this differently so you connect with it and you see the bigger picture of it. I think of moments where I'm not in a place to see how I'm feeling or how I'm reacting, and I can't see past that barrier, and it just makes me think, what is that message that finally gets through, or that people receive it in a new way that can help them open up that piece. But I think it's partly like how we're conditioned, or how we understand the world to be, and for someone to say, look at this differently or try something different. It threatens a part of us that that we're trying to protect for whatever reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It just made me think of so many different things.
And I was thinking about that grace. I just was listening and kind of lost my thoughts in regards to that. But we all do it. The reality is we all do it. We all have those moments um, that feel, I'm just going to use the word ugly and disconnected. And it's nice when someone can reach us, or when we give grace to people who are in those spaces. And you know, I'm human. I'm human, and I don't always do it well, because it's tapping and punching my own stuff. And I think that's the piece to be really mindful of, is when you're wanting to. I'm just now my thoughts are kind of coming back into what I was thinking about before. Um, when it's sometimes it's tough to pull yourself out of those situations. I look at moments when I get in that headspace and my mind just spins. And it creates stories, and it can be ugly. And honestly, in those spaces, I try to just stay home, or go in places where I know that I can just be with my thoughts and not create collateral damage. Um, it's challenging though when we're with people that we love and we want to judge them. But when you're wanting to judge, just be really mindful of, like, what are you judging inside yourself? What are you judging inside of yourself that's then making you want to judge someone else? That wasn't the thought. There was something about change, and on that same vein.
Can I share something?
Absolutely, please do.
So in that line of thinking, you know, if we're in different spaces, you know, if I'm in a place of I'm learning to listen to myself, I have a different perspective on things, but you know, you're approaching someone who's on a different spiritual path, or just their own life journey, and they're not accustomed to the languaging that you're using, or it doesn't fit the space that they understand, it feels threatening. True. And it feels confusing. And then I think that's part of the guards up. And I think it's really challenging sometimes when we have so much noise and so much, some of us just don't want to even look at it. And we put up guards, and, you know, we distract, knowingly or unknowingly, we distract with activities, or with being busy, or virtuous things, like whatever you want to distract with.
Absolutely.
But it also detracts from learning to listen to yourself, because I think a lot of times when we default to what we've always done and what we always know, and we play that script because our brain knows it, and it's automatic, and we don't have to think about it, we don't have to feel about it. Be in
charge.
And yeah. So I think that's the piece that you start to protect in that space, and why it can feel so threatening. Like, I can't trust you, you're speaking a foreign language to me, I know this, and I'm going to defend this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I just was thinking, this is the kind of fun stuff we're going to do when you come hang out with us, whether you're on a Tuesday adventure, or you're on a weekend adventure, or you're on one of our week-long adventures. These are the kind of things we're going to talk about actually feeling, and that it's okay to feel. It's okay to have the emotions that you have, and just being mindful of how they're expressed sometimes, and in certain places, as to lessen collateral damage, that then there's just more messiness to clean up. You know, lots of just real, raw, open conversation about life and feelings, and tools to move through all of that, and just safe places to start practicing your sovereignty and your personal beingness, while learning to connect with other people doing the same.
Well, I just think it's really about giving the gift to yourself of having your calm and your peace intact, no matter what happens outside of you.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned in the last year and a bit is learning how to just stay centered amidst playing surrender.
I was going to say surrender. The surrender
Right.
piece has been, that's been an interesting experiment.
So what's one of the biggest things that you've come away with in your, to this point, of learning to surrender or playing in that space? Because I feel like it's something you have to choose every day.
It's definitely something that I have to choose every day. Because I come from a background of knowing all the answers, having all the answers, going to certain places to get all the answers if I didn't have them. And the reality is I don't have the answers. Or no, it's not that. It's not that I don't have the answers. The answers aren't outside of me. Mm-hmm. And I learned to go outside of me for answers, and until I learned differently, until I learned to go inside. And I think that's the piece is to and I call it live open-handed, with your hands just open in front of you, to say, this is what I have today. Like, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm experiencing. And you give that to God, universe, higher power, whatever that is for you. It's that when I was studying 12 steps, such a fascinating and beautiful program, and how often they use God in the 12 steps. So again, insert whatever that works for you. And if it's self, beautiful. How often we come with our hands behind our back. It's like, I already know what's behind there, so you may as well just come at me with open hands in front of you. And so for me, it's that open-handed living and trusting and saying, I am going to do my best to let go of my humanistic want to control or to have all the answers or to know how, and to say, I'm choosing to connect with source. And it feels scary. It feels scary sometimes to trust like that. But I think the biggest thing is that when I have done that, there is this incredible and intense peace and calm that's an undercurrent to all of that. And there are many situations where I'm like, I have no idea how this is going to work out, and work out often with like the thought or the idea that I have in my mind of how it should work out, and getting to let go of that also, like saying, this is what I would like to create, and how I see it, but letting go of like, it could be something very different, and just a small, that my thought and idea might be just the seed of the ginormous thing that's being created. Sure. And to let go and trust that. And I think that's part of what I was saying when we first started, is just that evaluation or reevaluation of where I'm at now versus a year ago or 2 years ago, and what I'm wanting to create, and staying in the practice of surrender. My biggest frustration is that I feel like I often don't know what steps to take, and the steps that will be, I want to use the words useful and reckon. You're shaking your head, but I know, like, trusting that all of the steps that I take are useful. Well, and that there's meaning and purpose in them.
If anything means something, then everything means something, and it all interconnects. And I think of those places for myself, and it is disconcerting, especially when you have a culture that says, show me your plan, show me this, tell me the steps, and
to say, I'm learning how to fly. Okay.
Yeah. But it takes a lot of like just showing up and trial and error. And I just believe everything comes back to painting, but I can have a certain plan, but as I start taking the steps towards that, other inspirations come through, or a different technique, or the path is shown to me as I'm in the process. And I think when we get so focused on the how, we lose sight of our why, or what we actually are going after. And I think that stuff just really comes about naturally and through conversation and relationship building. And who are you building, I think, is the far more important thing. And it's something that I've had to really let go of and stop micromanaging and showing, look, I'm so busy. Like, look at I'm doing all the right things, because I think it just really leads to frustration. And in my own letting go, more things come through and inspiration comes through, and it, I don't know, things start coming together.
It's incredible. Like, I'm thinking, where's our excitement in all of this and saying all of this? Because it is so exciting, but the reality is it's just this gentle, calm flow, and it's
confidence.
It is a confidence, and it's challenging to talk about it in really excited ways, when really it's centering, and it's anchoring, but not anchoring as in holding you back. It's just anchoring to self, and an anchoring to source,
and trust,
and trusting. This is a call I probably should get.
Okay. Well, we're almost at time anyway.
Will you just take us out? Thank you for being with us today. And we'll see you next week.
And if you're not part of our Facebook page, you can find that. Facebook group. It's The Righteous Rebels, or you can check us out on therighteousrebels.com, and you can find past podcasts there. And we'll be posting events. We're really excited to be putting together a new course, so keep an eye out for that. But thanks for being with us today, and I hope you have an amazing day. And I think we end this one with, remember to be bold, be brave, and be a rebel. Love you.